Alright, I'm in the West End in Vancouver. You can probably see some of that behind me. I'm in between a doctor's appointment this morning at 10, just trying to remember what time that was, and a physio appointment today at 1. I've got 2 hours for the parking. Don't really want to drive home and then drive back down because honestly my tank is empty. So this recording, which I planned on doing at my house, I'm going to do at Nelson Park instead. If you look behind me, you might be able to see a playground. I've got a nice little chair set up here. And so what I'm going to say once, and you can watch it again and again if you want. Currently, my left neck, right about there, is absolutely burning and buzzing. I don't know how long I'm going to be able to do this for. We'll see. Okay, let's see. It's weird. I can't seem to center myself. That's sort of how I feel anyways. Alright. Maybe it's just my head's on crooked. It's a possibility. Here's the deal. You're about to start your written assignment. It's worth 25% of your mark overall of 2 years of your IB course. It's not to be taken lightly. Historically, students do it in a rush. They do it in a rush about 24 hours before it's due. Worst case scenario, they do it in a rush less than 6 hours before it's due. Historically, those essays have been terrible. Your essay, should you choose to take that route, will also prove to be terrible. There is an alternative, and that's to take the assignment seriously. You have about 3 weeks to finish it. It'll be due, I believe, the Tuesday after we return from Victoria Day long weekend. Don't have my calendar here, so I can't confirm that, but I believe that's the date. You will give me a copy of your work at that time, and I will read it and I will provide feedback to you on it once in June. Probably after the exam period has begun. That's historically how I've done it. That's the only feedback you can get on it. Your teacher next year will collect a final copy of it in December, and you will be able to work on your written assignment between now and that time. However, you will not get any more feedback on your written assignment. It will be submitted as you submit it at that time, but the feedback will be entirely given this year, despite the fact you're going to undergo a lot of growth in the summer. So, listen to what Ms. Cockatail has to tell you today, and listen to what I'm saying now. You can listen to it again if you want to. First, all those generic internet essays that you see out there are terrible. Still can't center myself. They're terrible. You go to the internet, you find yourself an essay topic, you write on it, it's almost certain to be awful. Most people do that, trust me. And most of the essays as a result are terrible, and most of the essays as a result do not stand out. In fact, there isn't a shred of individualism whatsoever in most of the essays that are submitted to IB. Your essay should be individual. Your essay should reflect your experience as a person. Your essay should reflect your understanding of yourself as a person interacting with that novel, whichever novel you choose. It should consist of, in effect, a dialogue between you, the novel, and a reader. You can imagine the reader to be me. You can imagine the reader to be somebody else. It doesn't matter. It's not going to be me finally giving you a mark. It's going to be an external marker somewhere else. You want to have a conversation with those three people. And you want to show that third person, the marker, that you've actually interacted with the novel in a meaningful way. There. In the event you do that, you'll get a good grade. In the event you don't do that, well, that's your choice. You're going to make a lot of choices in the next year. I wouldn't recommend that choice. Switching hands. Okay. This is really hard. It's harder than it looks. Okay. Next. You'll recall on the board I have a couple sayings, one of which is CAR. That stands for confirm complexity, affirm ambiguity, and resist simplification. All of your work on the internet is a form of simplification. If you find complexity in your work, and if you see ambiguity in your work, identify that. Don't try to simplify it. Identify it. And note that this is complex. And note that this is ambiguous. You're better off identifying that there are issues in the work than you are in trying to jam a thesis onto it and insist that you are correct. That's what the internet does. It also just destroys your individuality, your identity, makes you all the same. So, CAR, confirm complexity, affirm ambiguity, resist simplification. Second of all, remember the 3 C's of IB: content, construction, and comment. Comment is a form of individualism, individuality, identity. That's where you're interacting with the work, yourself. You need to comment on the work. You need to comment on an aspect of the work that's important to you. Third, the essay has to be literary in nature. It's not a plot summary. You need to find an aspect of the work which is literary in nature and comment on it in a meaningful fashion. If you find an aspect of the work which is literary in nature, you will deal with the construction of the work. That's one of the 3 C's, if you remember. And if you deal with it meaningfully, you will deal with the content of the work as well. And if you deal with it meaningfully, you will provide comment upon the work. That's your task. Content, construction, comment. Confirm complexity. Affirm ambiguity. Resist simplification. You might want to say celebrate complexity too. That's a good one too. I like that. I may have said that in the first place. It doesn't make any difference. Complexity is the first one. Ambiguity is the second one. Simplification is the third one. And I could call this CAS instead of CAR, and you'd be going around and around in a CAS world instead of a CAR world. All right. I think that's about all I got to say. I hope to be back next week. I hope I don't have to have surgery on my neck. But even if I do, I don't think it'll be this year. Well, anyways, I hope it's not this year. And yeah. So, one of the things you got to do in the next couple of days is work on integrating quotes into sentences to provide evidence for ideas that you have. That's really important. You can't just say anything, you have to have evidence. All right, folks, I'm out.